April 30th, 1865. The day after the ceasefire armistice agreement in Cushla, Alabama at the McGee Farm was reached, U.S. General Edward Canby had the embarrassing task of wiring Richard Taylor to notify him that their convention had been disavowed by the federal government, because it was on the same terms that the convention between General Sherman's and Johnston was reached in North Carolina. It was disapproved of by Washington, and Canby had to state that he was going to resume hostilities in 48 hours unless Richard Taylor would agree to the same terms that Grant had offered General Lee at the Appomattox Courthouse. And it was here in Citronelle, Alabama, here along the remnants of the Mobile and Ohio rail line. The Mobile and Ohio rail line ran right here where these trees are, lined the old rail line bed here in Citronelle. This Mobile and Ohio rail line ran all the way up through Meridian and on, at one point, all the way up to Ohio to as far south as Mobile. The two generals decided to meet once again, this time at the Borden Farm here in Citronelle, and this is the surrender site. On May 4th, Richard Taylor, Lieutenant General commanding the Confederate forces of the Department of Alabama, Mississippi, and East Louisiana, met here, and it was the only surrender that took place outdoors under this, what was dubbed the Surrender Oaks, the Surrender Oak tree. And there, Taylor met General Canby. Ebenezer Farran, who was commanding the Confederate Navy, met with Admiral Henry Knox Thatcher, and the final surrender of the Confederate forces east of the Mississippi took place here. I would argue that it was the last actual surrender of the war of an intact, significant force. When the Department of Trans-Mississippi surrendered later in New Orleans, it had largely already been disbanded. So this was definitely the last surrender of a significant force east of the Mississippi River, but you might be able to argue that it was the last actual surrender of the war. The surrender of Kirby Smith's department was more of a formality to clear the books and officially end the war. But here, at the Borden Farm, took place on May 4th, 1865, the final surrender of Richard Taylor's forces that had fought under General Forrest at Selma and General Maury in the defense of Mobile during the Mobile campaign. But this is it. It's in Citronelle, Alabama. It's now a Boy Scout lodge. I believe it's called Camp Pushmawatawa, I think it's called. It's a Boy Scout camp. The Surrender Oak actually came down many years ago. They reportedly used the wood from the tree to build gavels or construct gavels. Yeah, so the tree's no longer here, and it's now a Boy Scout camp lodge here in Citronelle, Alabama. But this is it. This is the location of the last surrender site east of the Mississippi River in Citronelle, Alabama.